Hey, welcome back to the Kids Action Bible Show. My name is Austin. I'm your host, and you're watching the 144 Kids Shabbat recap on the Kids Action Bible Show. Roll it. All right, so welcome back. If you're here, last week we talked about Israel in the wilderness. This is a series that we are kicking off right now. But if you want to see the full video and the full recap of that video, you can click it with the link below. It looks like this, and it's in the link below. Now, let's get to the message for today. Today we're diving into Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 through 33, the last half, where it is Yah's angel to prepare the way. Let's get into it. All right, so let's read really quick. Exodus chapter 23, verse 20 all the way to 33. So it says, "See, I am sending an angel ahead of you to guard you along the way and bring you to the place I have prepared. Pay attention to him and listen to what he says. Do not rebel against him. He will not forgive your rebellion. Since my name is in him, if you listen carefully to what he says and do all that I say, I will be an enemy to your enemies, and I will oppose those who oppose you. My angel will go ahead of you and bring you into the land of the Amorites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Canaanites, the Hivites, and Jebusites. And I will wipe them out. Do not bow down before their Elohims or worship them." Let's make sure we pause on this page really quick. So far we see a couple of things. We see this angel that the Father is sending on behalf of himself to prepare Israel, to give them some instruction. And then we also see some warnings here. Those are the things in red. We see some warnings from the Father saying, do not rebel against the angel. Don't bow down to the Elohims or worship the gods of the Jebusites, the Perizzites, the Hittites, Amorites. So we see a couple things here. Let's just make sure we take a mental note of that, because we're going to come back and try to break this stuff down, right? So let's keep going. It says, or follow their practices. You must demolish them and break their sacred stones to pieces. Worship Yah your Elohim and take his blessing. And his blessing will be on your food and water. I will take away sickness among you. I will take, and none will miscarry or be barren in your land. I will give you a full lifespan. I will send my terror ahead of you and throw into confusion every nation you encounter. I will make your enemies turn their backs and run, and I will send a hornet ahead of you to drive the Hivites, the Canaanites, and Hittites out of your way. But I will not drive them out in a single year. This is interesting. I will not drive them out in a single year, because the land will become desolate and wild animals too numerous for you. Little by little, I will drive them out before you until you have increased enough to take possession of the land. I will establish your borders from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea, and from the desert to the Euphrates River. I will give into your hands the people who live in the land, and you will drive them out before you. Do not make a covenant with them or their gods. Do not let them live in your land, or they will cause you to sin against me, because the worship of their gods will certainly be a snare to you. Wow, this is huge. All the way up until this point, from Exodus 20 all the way to up until Exodus 23 verse 19, we were getting instructions on the commandments of what's supposed to happen with Israel as they live in community. But now we're getting instructions on how to get to this land and what to do, how to encounter the people in this land, right? Everything that we learned up until this moment was about Israel internally. Right now, we're learning about how Israel is supposed to navigate the landscape with everyone else externally. This is interesting. So let's break down the angel's job, right? So far, the angel's job was to guide them, instruct them, and lead them. To guide them, instruct them, and lead them. To guide them to the land, to instruct them on what to do on behalf of the Father, and lead them into the land and be the one that takes them into the land. That was this angel's job. Now let's break down this word angel. Let's do some little Hebrew study. So angel means malak. Say it with me now. Malak, all right? It means messenger or representative. Now, representatives, their jobs are to represent something, right? Think about it. My job is to represent something to you. That was the job of this messenger, to represent. But let's take a look a little bit deeper into the Hebrew letters that make up the word malak. So here are the 4 Hebrew letters that make up the word malak. The first one is mem. That means chaos, or it's a symbol of chaos. A lot of times described by the drawing of water in the Paleo Hebrew. The next letter is Lamed, and if you can notice, I'm reading from right to left because biblically, or not biblically, when you read the Hebrew language, you read from right to left. In our English language, we read from left to right. And so we want to make sure we're reading it correctly. So the first letter of this word malak is mem. The second one is lamed, to control. And that would be the symbol of a staff or a shepherd's staff. The third one is aleph. Aleph is a strong leader. This would be the symbol of an ox in the Paleo Hebrew, right? And then the last one is kaf. That would be the symbol of like an open hand, which means to be easily bending and guiding and submissive. And so what's kind of cool about these Hebrew letters that break down the word malak, we see that the beginning of the word malak starts with chaos, and kind of like angels, their job is to be connected to the Father, to be representatives. And when they're not doing that, they're in chaos. It's just complete chaos, right? Now, the second part of their name, which means to control, to be a staff, and that's kind of like their job. Their job is to shepherd, to move along, deliver papers, to help control the situation, to help be assistance to the Father. And in this instance, help control Israel so they can get to the promised land. The last one is Aleph, strong leader. I feel like that's really straightforward because angels are warriors. They're known to be very strong, army-like, not army-like, what's the word I'm looking for? Warrior-like, I think that's the word I'm looking for. Warrior-like creatures. And then Kaf, open-handed, easily bending. And there's a good part of this and a bad part of this, right? When we think about the Nephilim, the fallen angels. And so I love that it's interesting. It starts with chaos and it ends with being open-ending and submissive. All these different letters help us understand the characteristic of Malak, which is angel. So, you read the scripture. Quick question. He said, my angel will go ahead of you and bring you into the land of the Amorites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Canaanites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Now, can you tell me, what land is this? What land is this that these six people, these six groups of people, these six tribes would live there? What land is this? What land are they taking? Biblically, what is this land called in Scripture? Do you know? Yes, the land of Canaan, or the promised land. That's what Scripture calls it. Correct, good job. The land of Canaan or the promised land. Well done. All right, so looking at those 13 scriptures, here are some of the warnings that we see from Israel. The first is, do not rebel against the angel. He is a messenger. He's here to represent me. If you rebel against him, you rebel against me. The second thing that the Father told Israel, he says, do not worship their gods. Do not worship their Elohim. Do not do it. That is completely wrong. And these are all still warnings for us today, I think, right? They're very similar to what's taught to us in the commandments. The third one, do not make a covenant with those nations. Don't make a covenant with those nations. Also with those nations, don't make a covenant with their gods. Leave them alone. And last but not least, do not let these groups of people live among you. Why? Because he says they're going to cause you to sin. They're going to cause you to worship those gods, and worshiping those gods is a transgression of my commandment, which is the definition of sinning. So these are some of the warnings that he gave Israel in these 13 verses in Exodus chapter 20. All right, and with that said, let's take a look at a couple questions that we should ask ourselves after we read this. I love this. Check this out. First one, guidance from the angel. It says, what was the angel's role for the Israelites in these verses? Can you relate this to finding guidance in your life from Yah? I want you to think about this. And after I read them all, I want you to pause the screen and answer for yourself. Number two, obeying Yah's instructions. Why is it important for Israelites to listen and not rebel against the angel? Why was that so important in these scriptures? And how can we apply obedience to Yah's guidance in our lives? Why is it important for us to obey Yah's guidance? Think about it. The third one, avoiding negative influences. Why did Yah warn against adopting the beliefs or practices of others? Why did he warn Israel of that? Remember, I want you to go back to Exodus chapter 20 and starting at verse 20 through 33, read those verses and answer these questions. Why do y'all warn against adopting the beliefs or practices of others? How can we make good choices and stay true to our beliefs? And last but not least, Yah's promises and trust. What promises do Yah make, and how do they show Yah's care for his people? How can we trust in Yah in challenging times? I know I'm covering up, but I'll move out of the way in a second. I want you to pause the screen and see if you can answer these questions for yourself. All right, and last but not least, I want to highlight from our October challenge, Justin, I know at the time of this video, you're not feeling well, and so we're praying for you, buddy. We hope that you feel better. But this is what he drew. He drew some 144 Kids artwork. You can see it right up there. And then he also said down here, he's grateful for 144 Kids for teaching him about Shabbat, for playing games, for watching the videos, and also this video right here, uploading it up to YouTube. Justin, we love you. We're so grateful to have you a part of 144 Kids all the way from Nigeria. That makes me so happy. And guys, and we thank you for staying tuned all the way to the end of this video. If you'd like to support our ministry, you can click the link below. You can buy some Yah's Manna tableware sets. These are biblical tableware sets that are great for the family. Or at the same time, you can just give a financial donation, and that would be awesome. That would be really, really cool. And so with that, we love you, peace be with you, and shalom.